this is why people are jealous of you. You know, back in my ninth grade year, you know, I talked about this before. I was over, well, I came into the year at 240 pounds. And I, during like December time, I think it was, sometime like that, that's when I really got to my heaviest, like 260 ish, around there. I remember going to the doctor's office, and, you know, I weighed very heavy there. They didn't tell my exact weight, but, you know, it's always like terrible. You know, back then I used to go to the doctor's office and, you know, they'd check my weight. But that's besides the point. The point is, every single time, you know, I'd be around my friends and everything like that. Well, people that I assume were my friends, you know, back in my ninth grade year, I talked to like everybody, you know, everybody I talked to, and everyone loved me. But why did they love me? Was because every single time they were around me, you know, they would get happy. And I assumed that, you know, they would get happy because, you know, I was funny and I would make them laugh and everything like that. But, you know, but it was everyone, like every single person that was around me, you know, would feel good about themselves, and they would speak in like a confident way almost. And, you know, I used to think like every single person around me was like crazy confident because, like, you know, they were so confident when they were around me. But, you know, that I talked about before, the next year, you know, dropped. I came into the 10th grade year at around 208, so I wasn't like all time skinny, but I was not looking like bad either. So I was looking pretty all right. Like, and then, you know, I started noticing. Well, I dropped some weight, so I looked better, and I started noticing that more and more people were less confident. And still at this time, you know, I thought everyone was confident. Like, I felt like everyone was like confident and amazing. And then, you know, I started talking to people again. And in the beginning, you know, people still liked me. Some people even liked me like even more, like because I was not too fat, like skinny or anything like that. But I also wasn't like looking amazing. In my head though, I thought like I was amazing. So maybe in my head, it started like playing because you guys know when you start losing weight, you know, you, I'm gonna be honest, you in the beginning, I had like a sort of like an ego. I had like confidence, you know, because I was not very confident. Actually, I was always, I wouldn't say confident, but, you know, I was like free to do whatever I wanted though. If I wanted to, like, you know, run around the school, this is not gonna sound relatable. If I wanted to start sprinting around the school, I could do. I was a freshman, you know, we're weird, but, you know, I was confident. You know, I'm like, all right, because, you know, what's the issue? But then when I started, you know, losing the weight more and more, you know, when I dropped all the way down to 170 at a point, and I stayed there for about a year, I think it was. Yeah, I stayed at 170 for over a year, you know, I lost a lot of friends. And I assumed, like, and that's when I started noticing as well, a lot of them are dudes that I thought were, like, you know, confident and everything like that. When I was around them more, you know, they were more, like, insecure and more. That's when I started viewing these guys like, oh, yeah, these guys aren't really that big of a deal, you know? Not insecure, but, I mean, yeah, they were insecure, but, like, they were, like, weird almost, and they had issues, you know? I thought back then, like, I was the only one with issues, that, like, my problems were, like, you know, like all my like I was used to have sad thoughts, everything like that. And I used to think that, oh yeah, everyone's happy, you know, and I'm the only one in my area with sad thoughts, you know. Because everyone, you know, would view everybody like that. And sometimes I would look at other people and be like, imagine if I just had their body. But then as well, you know, I was in denial, even though I was so heavy. Like, I really accepted that I was truly fat when I was like 250. Like, I'm like, all right, at this point, I'm fat. Like, but before then, I was like, nah, I'm just skinny. You know, I'm just, I don't know. I would hide like between like big sweaters and everything like that, and I would tell myself like nobody notices. But, you know, I just said it before. You know, the more and more weight I started losing, the more people started disliking me. You know, and not like disliking me like in a way like, oh my god, I hate that dude, but like in a way where like, actually, yeah, sort of like in that way, being like almost like, yeah, you're not part of our group anymore, you know. And that's when I started losing a lot of like the friend group that I was in. Poof, it vanished, and I started noticing, you know, I thought like the friend group just disappeared and that we all separated, but no, like they were still together. But then that's when, you know, I started realizing as well, I got into wrestling as well in 10th grade. So my sport, that was the first sport I ever did, wrestling in high school, which I never done. A sport in school, I never done any organized sport in my life. So that was the first time I ever did that. You know, when I was starting to really get a goal, because every single human like needs a purpose and a goal. So in my head, you know, I had a goal, you know, to really go as much as possible to practices and everything like that, and really do well. You know, that was the first time I had a goal. And, you know, like when you're competing, like when you're training to fight somebody, there's like a different level of training that you go. That you can't just like, like a lot of people when they go into the gym, they use like some sort of motivation, like, oh yeah, my girlfriend's probably, that girl that I'm talking to is probably like, I don't know, like is like hanging out with that other guy, and or I don't know, they use these stupid fantasies. But for me, it was like, I'm going up against another human. I need to train my hardest. And, it really set a goal in my head. So, I started noticing all these other people had no goals, and that's what you notice. A lot of these people that are jealous of you have no goals. They have no ambitions. A lot of people, when they wake up in the morning, they have nothing. They're just mad. Like, oh my God, I have to go to work today. I have to do this. And this is something that you hear a lot. You might even do this. You might be like, oh yeah, I have to do this. No, I get up in the morning and I'm like, yes, let's go. I get the opportunity to lift. I get the opportunity, if I had a lift day, I would look forward to that lift. Think about all the content I'm going to produce, all the things, all the ideas, and I might be honest, I would look on my phone to see who, like, if I got any new followers or anything like that, because, it gives me a sense of connection. I don't have too much connection right now. It's very isolated here. But as well, like every single morning, I get up in the morning and I literally say, I like literally do this. I don't even write it down. I literally record and post the daily stories, what I'm thankful for and why. And it's like a way to, like, show myself, like show everyone. It gives a way for me, like, to connect with my audience, like my actual audience. They can hit my story page and they can literally connect with me daily. And I'm not always like saying, oh yeah, I'm thankful for the sky. I sometimes say funny stuff like, I'm thankful for, I don't know, what did I say before? One time, a video today I actually made where it's like, I'm like, I'm thinking about something that's really important. Just give me 10 seconds. And then and after 10 seconds, I'm like, what did I say? It was like something like, listen, you good little boy. I don't remember, something like that. It's so funny. But every single day, I'm saying something that I'm thankful for. Why? And that's what you should do, really. You should appreciate it. And that will get them even more jealous, but that doesn't matter. A lot of people as well, they're not jealous of you as a person. They're jealous of your, your thoughts, your ideas, your ambitions, especially when I started wrestling in college. That's when I started noticing, like, say what you want to say about this, but that's when I started noticing all the people that I was close to started not liking my post, which I was wrestling as D1 teams in that post. So I was expecting not to get tons of like likes and stuff from my friends. Not one of my friends, actually, like, I think one person, let me think who did. I remember my club team actually posted me on the story, which is pretty sick. I mean, it makes sense because I'm wrestling these high level teams, everything like that. But really get as far away as possible from those people that are jealous of you. Those people are dangerous, and they'll really take you out. They will really suck your energy out of you and really just like destroy all your ambitions. I literally isolate. I literally do not talk to anybody. This is the only person I talk to. This camera, and sometimes I look at my story reviews, and the people that are stalking my page. That's my only connection. I don't have any other connection at this point. And it's better to have no connection than have people that are jealous of you and bring you down. Of course, I probably should go out and talk to people. That's an issue that I'm currently working on. I was injured, so I lost a lot of confidence, like in terms of speaking and everything, which I have fixed that, because in the future I'm not going to be able to. I mean, probably I'm going to do this my entire life, probably be something like fighting or something. So I always have that group, but I got to figure something out. But stay away from those people. Always have a clear head. It's never worth it. Do not even try to prove them wrong. It's not even worth it. Just get as far away as possible from. It's not worth it.